I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But Annie, she reads Braille with her fingers, processes it in her mind, and then speaks it aloud with emotion and pacing and different voices for every character. To me, that's not multitasking. That's mastery. In honor of World Braille Day and Braille Awareness Month, I'm honored to introduce you to someone incredibly special. This is Anne Donnellon. Now, Annie is blind, and she's a fluent Braille reader, and she's the audiobook narrator for my contemporary Christian romance, Dial for Endearment. Now, what makes this collaboration so meaningful is that Annie doesn't just read the story, she brings lived experience and deep understanding to the role. For her, Braille isn't simply a tool, it's literacy, and it's access, and it's how stories come to life for her. Now, if you haven't read or listened to Dial for Endearment, the story centers on Everly Johnson, and it invites us to look past assumptions and listen more closely to what truly matters. There could not have been a more fitting voice to tell Everly's story than Annie, and today she's here to tell us how she used Braille to assist her in narrating this contemporary romance.
It's a lovely afternoon here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm Anne Donnellon, and I had the privilege of collaborating with Heidi Gray McGill on Dial for Endearment, this delightful contemporary Christian romance. And what I really enjoy about this book, I will say oftentimes in today's media, a well-represented blind heroine is very hard to come by. And in this story, Everly is everything that I ever could have dreamed of in a blind heroine. Not only is she a Christian singles radio talk show host, but she's really a powerhouse and a leader in every single sense of the word. Heidi had asked me what I love most about this book and what my favorite moment was, and gosh, there's so many to name, but one thing that really stands out to me is at one point she's in the Uber and the driver has a Christian radio station playing, and he says, "Do you ever listen to that Friday Night Singles girl?" And I'm just waiting for her to say, "Oh yeah, that's me." But of course she has her reasons why she keeps her identity a secret. If there's anything that was challenging about this book, it was differentiating between the male and female characters, because for every other chapter we hear from Cam, and so I had to do some warm-ups to get that lower, to access my lower range. For instance, I might use a quote from the book. I might say, "Today is the first day of the rest of our lives," or I might do some vocal warm-up, "La." Just as Everly talks about being properly caffeinated, we never underestimate the importance of being properly warmed up when we're narrating. And on that note, I wanted to give you a little tour of my studio, this little corner in the back of my room here where I record. And this is my handy dandy Braille display, which contains the manuscript of Dial for Endearment. And to give you a demonstration of exactly how I do that, I'm going to read the beginning of the chapter so you can get excited about this great book. Just a moment. "The Devil Made Me Brew It" is my favorite blend of coffee. Just the name puts a smile to my face even before the first whiff reaches my nose or sip hits my tongue. Here I sit at Camp Coffee Roasters on the edge of town in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, waiting for love in the steaming brew I'm about to consume. Love seems to evade me. As a radio talk show host who gives relationship advice, you'd think I would have good suggestions for how to meet that special someone. Online, on the air, at church, or at social functions. Maybe the old-fashioned way, if that's even possible anymore. Or perhaps a blind date. I surmise I'd have more answers if I were out there in the dating scene myself. The only love relationship I have these days is with a cup of joe. At least he has a decent name. Here you go, Evie. Jay, the owner, greets me the same way each morning, full of exuberance, his passion for what he does showing in the smile I know must be on his face, because I can hear it in his voice. What's on the agenda for this lovely Friday morning? The heavy clunk of the hand-thrown mug, followed by a sound of grit on wood as he slides it my way, brings with it a thrill. Warmth emanates from the baked clay as I slide my hand across the table, entwining my fingers with the smooth glazed handle in a warm embrace. He waits for my response until after I've had my first sip. I thought I'd stroll Main Street this morning, then visit my mom this afternoon before heading to work this evening. Liquid sunshine brightens my day with each swallow. You'll need more than coffee. Jay knows most of my story, and I'm not sure if he refers to the trek through town or the impending visit with my mother. The sound of his slip-resistant shoes does not match what I expect he wears when he's not working. Never underestimate the importance of being properly caffeinated. I lift my mug in a mock salute. And I'm not going to tell you what happens between Evie and Cam. You'll have to read to the end to find out, but this is to give you a good taste, and I hope that you will enjoy Dial E for Endearment. Thank you.
One of the things that amazes me the most about Annie is her use of Braille. Now, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, but Annie, she reads Braille with her fingers, processes it in her mind, and then speaks it aloud with emotion and pacing and different voices for every character. To me, that's not multitasking, that's mastery. And while it may feel second nature to her now, for those of us watching, it's truly humbling. Did you notice by chance her sound setup? She's using moving blankets as a sound barrier. That is so smart and effective, and it's a perfect example of creative problem solving at work. But I'll let Annie share more about that and her recording space and how she set it up and what works best for her and anything else she'd like people to know about being a blind narrator.
The PVC pipes and moving blankets that comprise my studio are designed to make the room soundproof. It's important when recording for the environment to be as quiet as possible. So I've learned just the right times of day to record, not when my husband's in the other room working from home or where it could pick up car noise and things like that. Not to mention the dogs next door have learned when their neighbor is trying to record that they should hold off their conversation until I'm through. For those who have not experienced Braille, it might seem like quote-unquote multitasking, but to me, I am reading the exact same story in a different format. Just like everything else in life, prepping and practice is everything. Every narrator is different in the way that they do the prepping. I keep a running document of chapter summaries, character descriptions, and I even create a cast list of the various characters. Times that might consist of voices of famous actors and actresses that I know of, or people from my own life. And in order to keep it consistent, I frequently play back my recordings so that I don't forget what voice belongs to which character. It's really a lot of fun, and it's a blessing to do this work, challenging though it is sometimes, just like anything else in life. I love narrating because it allows me the opportunity to marry my two passions, so to speak, my passion for Braille literacy and my love for the performing arts.
I hope you enjoyed learning more about Annie and her process, and since this is Braille Awareness Month, there are a few things that are worth knowing. Braille isn't a backup skill. For many blind readers, it's how literacy actually happens and how spelling and punctuation and sentence structure are learned in the first place. And Braille isn't just about reading words. It's how blind readers access education and scripture, creativity, and the world around them through touch. what looks extraordinary to us is simply how Annie reads the world. Annie, thank you, not just for narrating Dial-E for Endearment, but for letting us see what Braille literacy looks like in action. And to those watching, today isn't just about awareness. It's about appreciation for the tools that make stories accessible and for the people who use them with such grace and skill. If you would like to say thank you to Annie, would you leave a comment for her on the Dial-E for Endearment video? That would be great. And if you'd like to partner with her to make your book a reality, reach out to her at her website. I have that website and the social media links in the description below. Thanks for spending part of Braille Awareness Day with us.